You can't afford to be made to look ridiculous. But luckily we can, because we are the hosts of the Godfather Minute. My name is Alex Robinson.
Yeah, and I'm Andy Robinson.
Together we're the Godfather Minutes. And today we're talking about minute 34 of the Godfather.
We're already to 34. Alex, you know how to say 34 in Italian?
How? Let me tell me.
E minuto.
E minuto.
Numero.
34.
34.
34.
Bene. You got it.
That's good. You know, that was weird because I just thought of something that I had to tell you.
What's that?
No, but as you were telling me the Italian lesson, I was thinking about what I had to tell you, but I was still perfectly repeating it. And then once I started paying attention to what I was doing, I had a harder time repeating it. Isn't that weird?
Isn't that funny? Language is fascinating.
Yeah. So basically, if I don't pay attention to what I'm doing, I'm smarter.
You're smart. You're smart. I never said you weren't smart.
Yeah. Anyway, so numero 34.
34.
And I retained it. How about that?
You got it.
So minute 34 starts off with the exterior shot, sunrise.
It's a beautiful estate.
At the Woltz's estate, and there's a long, slow pan.
Long and slow.
Until we see the sleeping form of, I guess it's Jack Woltz. You can see that it's him.
I mean, and it's the theme, the Godfather, classic Godfather melody.
In as it's going on. And then Jack Woltz awakes.
And before he awakens too, the Godfather theme starts to turn into kind of almost like a circus. This is like a calliope music.
Yeah, it's true.
Like
it's
building
more,
and building. Something's about to happen here, Alex.
Well, we're not going to know what it is because so Jack Woltz wakes up. He notices he has blood on himself. What? Am I injured? Did I get my period? What's going on here? And he starts looking at the sheets, and the sheets are covered in blood. And that's when the minute ends. We don't know we don't know what's going to be in the sheets.
Oh my gosh!
This minute literally is just a build up to.
Do you want to take some guesses?
I'm going to guess that he was eating in bed, as he is wont to do, because he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say he, like, not knowing it, he put the ketchup bottle and it smeared all over the bed.
Oh gosh.
So the maid is going to, the maid won't be mad. He'll be mad at the maid. Anyway, why didn't the maid take the thing out of the,
yeah.
He looks ridiculous with a bed full of ketchup. So you have any speculation as to what it is?
Well, the only thing I could think of is Tom Hagen did a great job keeping cool in that last minute. But as you joked, maybe you weren't joking, he eventually broke. He went outside and he just broke down. He was so sad.
Yeah.
So sad. Maybe he harmed himself. He ran inside the house and harmed himself.
I thought you were saying he was so sad he cried until all his blood came out of his body.
That too.
Yeah. Wow. So you think Tom is you think he's full of regrets?
Know. I mean, Woltz really laid into him. Another possibility is it is red wine and not blood.
Oh.
We see red wine throughout the movie.
That's true.
It's very important in Italian culture. A lot of people drink red wine throughout the movie.
So you think it's a message from the Don?
It's a Sicilian message.
What does it mean?
Directly from the Don.
What does it mean?
It means
he's got a bed full of wine. It means he's dead.
Yeah. The old man has had too much wine. That's what it means. But it's a real cliffhanger.
Yeah,
we don't see what it is.
So we do the only thing note that I have is we're also going to talk about the other deleted scene that happened right before this. So obviously there's not a heck of a lot to talk about in this.
I've got a bit to talk about in the book.
Okay,
that you don't see in the movie that takes place sort of at this time, right before this scene. Okay.
Yeah, because then maybe that'll tie in with the... Should we do that with the deleted scene? Because the deleted scene leads up to this.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So before we do that, though, just specifically, you can see as the camera's zooming in, there's an Oscar on Jack Woltz's table.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Wow.
And there's some question as to whether that is a prop Oscar Or is it the Oscar that Francis Ford Coppola won 5 days before he shot this? He won the Oscar for writing the screenplay for Patton. He won Best Screenplay Award.
Interesting.
And then so there's some speculation that that's actually Francis Ford Coppola's Academy Award.
Very
that's
cool.
a little neat little detail.
That's excellent.
So,
Although I would
2 weeks earlier, sorry, he won it 2 weeks prior to filming.
Do the Oscar trophies change over the years, or is it always that same classic design?
I think it's the same thing.
Okay.
Maybe there's some fine tuning, but it's still a naked guy holding a sword, basically.
Because if they do change it, then it would have been a break in consistency. What do they call that in movies?
Continuity.
Continuity. Breaking the continuity.
You don't have the head for continuity. So yeah, that was the only thing I had specifically about.
That's very cool. I didn't notice that. I assume that if there's an Oscar in there, it's because of all the acting lessons Woltz had. I mean, acting lessons.
He won it for being an actor, not even a director or
correct.
producer. Wow,
Yeah.
they paid off.
Singing lessons. Maybe it was an Emmy. Is an Emmy
or like best choreographer or something like that. Or best song in a movie. He did take singing lessons. It could have sang a song.
What is that an Emmy for singing?
Well, singing would be a Grammy.
Oh, Grammy. I had it wrong. What is an Emmy?
Emmy is for television.
All right. Any television?
Yeah, it's for
Just
excellence
drama?
in television. Well, there's one for best
different
comedy.
genres.
There's all sorts
Okay.
of
So you can get a comedy Emmy?
You can get a comedy
Okay.
Emmy. Yeah, I think. They must have it. Anyway, again, someone at home now is yelling at us because if we don't know the answer to it, we should just not even, let's not bring up anything we don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
Okay. So the deleted scene. You'll recall yesterday, the scene we talked about last week. It ended with Tom Hagen going to the airplane.
Yeah.
And then it faded into basically the start of this minute. But there was a big chunk there, a couple of minute long scene. It would have gone from Tom leaving the house back to the Corleone house and a tearful Connie and Carlo getting into a screaming match at the Corleone house.
Wow.
And
The rocky start to their marriage.
yeah, theoretically this would have been right after because if Tom went to Hollywood, he's back from Hollywood by this time. But so you learn Tom is back from Hollywood, so it would have been that time that it took Tom to take 2 airplanes.
Yeah.
And then they're already
it's a whole Bermuda Triangle, the temporal Bermuda Triangle that we haven't figured out.
Yeah.
Lots going on.
So Connie and
they get into a big fight. It's actually on their wedding night.
no.
In the book, Puzo wrote that on their wedding night they got into a big fight.
Oh, well, this can't be that though.
Okay,
because
so this is a
Tom's
different
already
scene.
back from Hollywood, so it would have been.
Oh, got it. Okay.
It would have been. So Sonny starts like, hey, keep your hands off my sister, and then Mama says, don't interfere. Like that's between them. So, no, actually, it's not Mama who says that. It's the Don who says that.
Okay.
Saying don't interfere. It's and that's which is funny because that's ultimately what winds up. If he had heeded the Don's advice, he would still be alive.
Yeah.
He would be 97 years old today. So Don says don't interfere, and then the Don sits down with Tom, and it's kind of you see the end of this scene in the movie. It's the scene where Tom, Sonny, and those guys are talking about the Sollozzo deal.
Yeah.
So it's right before that. And Tom sits down and basically you see the end of his report. He's like, he's
The Sollozzo report.
No, he's reporting back about
what just took place.
Yeah.
Got it.
So we still haven't seen the result of all this yet. So
Yeah.
Tom
and I've
sits
got
down,
information from the book about that.
Perfect. And he explains to the Don, like, he's willing to have his star outed for being a drug addict. He's and then so the Don asks him, is he willing to like sacrifice his honor for all this? And it's hard to say because I couldn't find out what Tom is saying because he says something and then he says forget about it.
Tom says that?
Tom says forget about it, like in a way of like an Italian person.
Yeah.
And like obviously it's something they say around each other. But it made me wonder if that's the first time that becomes such a like forget about it. That's such a like a cliche kind of
You think that may be the first time in cinema or television where that was used?
It could be. I mean, it's it's hard.
And they do say that the movie The Godfather impacted organized crime
yeah,
culture.
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
So that'd be especially ironic if it's a line from a German Irish guy who says it,
Exactly,
and the Italians are imitating it. So the other weird thing about the scene is I think it sounds like every line out of Marlon Brando's mouth is dubbed.
Oh, I remember that.
It sounds like us doing it.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like someone doing a Marlon Brando impression.
Yeah.
And
Do you think it was someone else saying those lines?
Well, I was thinking like, well, maybe it's just that they brought because it was famous for his voice being all mumbly. Mm-hmm. So maybe they were like, we have to redub these lines because no one can understand what you're saying.
Got it.
And so did he either come in afterwards and just read it and not give a shit, just be like, oh, ask him about this, and then walk out of the studio, not really caring, not bothering to try to make it match or anything because he's Marlon Brando? Or was Marlon Brando's like, I don't do ADR, you can, and then they had to get someone to do it because Marlon Brando wouldn't do it,
funny.
as part of the,
I hope that's the case because that would just be a great footnote, a great
some
trivia
other
question.
else-
Someone
I
else
also
did.
played
and
Vito
then
Corleone.
the second question would be who did it?
Yeah, exactly.
Who actually did it? Was it Fredo or John Cazale?
Or also, the question would be who played, how many actors have played Vito Corleone? And everyone would say 2 because Robert De Niro plays him in 2.
Yeah.
But I guess actually 3 because you see a kid playing him in.
That's right.
Yeah. So and then the one guy who dubbed the voice. Terrible scene. So then the Don asks if the stories about him and those girls are true.
Yeah.
And so that again, that kind of ties back to what we said. It shows that the Don is like a moral guy who it's not just he's not hard hearted. It's not just about dollars and cents. It's
There's some personal virtue there. Puzo wrote a bit about this scene, and it's just a slightly different. Puzo wrote, the Don had not seemed surprised when Hagen returned from California late Tuesday evening and told him the results of the negotiations with Woltz. Mm-hmm. He had made Hagen go over every detail and grimaced with distaste when Hagen told about the beautiful little girl and her mother.
Wow.
He had murmured, infamida. Remember we learned that?
Right.
His strongest disapproval.
Oh.
He had asked Hagen one final question. Does this man have real balls?
Uh-huh.
And so there's a whole paragraph here where Hagen is thinking to himself, what does he mean by that question? Mm-hmm. And so I think this is the scene that ends that you were just referencing. Yeah. Hagen considered, what does it mean? Over the years, he had learned that the Don's values were so different from those of most people that his words could have a different meaning. Did Woltz have character? Did he have a strong will?
Literally, does he have balls? Oh, does he have balls? I need to know it. I hear he can't get aroused except for in these situations.
Did he have the willingness to suffer heavy financial loss delay on his movies?
Yeah.
Hagen smiled. He did it rarely, but now he could not resist jesting with the Don. You are asking me if he's a Sicilian. The Don nodded his head pleasantly, acknowledging the flattering witticism and its truth. No, Hagen said.
Oh, so that's the line where he says, forget about it.
Yeah, but he doesn't say forget about it in the book.
Yeah, well, the book is different than the deleted scene from the movie.
The book is different than the deleted scene in the movie.
Stop the music. This scene is not in the movie, so you have to write a new song. The book is different than this deleted scene.
Can I just overdub the deleted scene?
You're the musical director. Whatever lazy shortcuts you want to take.
Can we get the guy who overdubbed
Marlon
Brando's vocals in this deleted scene to overdub my singing?
Yeah, totally.
So I think that's it. I think you're right. I think that syncs up with the part that you were just asking about. And then finally, that had been all. The Don had pondered the question until the next day. On Wednesday afternoon, he had called Hagen to his home and given him his instructions. The instructions had consumed the rest of Hagen's working day.
Wow.
So, whatever Hagen plans, it takes him this whole day. So, getting all that red wine, smuggling it into his upstairs
Where am I going to get all this wine from?
How am I going to get Hagen to have his menstrual cycle culminate on that day?
Wait a minute.
Woltz, sorry, I said
Bonacera has a lot of wine, and he owes us a favor.
Paulie, more wine. That's where they get the wine from.
Oh, wait, Paulie. Yeah, so I'm glad that we figured out that must be what he says. Like, does this man have honor? And then he's like, oh, you're asking me if he's a Sicilian. And he says, oh. And then he goes, no, forget about it. Oh,
Yeah.
He invents the phrase, forget about it. That's how that scene should have ended in the book. After much thought, he said, forget about it, and thus launched a line that would be... So weirdly, the Don sounds like James Gandolfini.
Oh, really?
That's what it sounds like, that kind of nasally,
How old was James Gandolfini?
He would have been like in his teens, I imagine. Yeah? I don't think, but it sounds like it's funny that it made me realize that both the two most famous mafia heads both have distinctive, like, kind of voices that are.
Yeah. Do you think James Gandolfini's Tony Soprano voice is influenced by Don Corleone's voice?
I've seen him in other things, and his voice is very similar. I mean, it's not as like, like it's not as New Jersey-ish.
But it does sound.
But it does still have that nasal pinchedness. I wonder if that's why part of the reason he got it was it subliminally reminded David Chase of. We should point out, I just want to mention that a little bit of trivia about you. You had not seen The Sopranos until like last year.
Yeah, that's correct. Not a single episode.
And then you binge watched it over, a period of months.
Probably about a month or two. Yeah, watched all of them.
Yeah. So as a Godfather, we should talk about that during the. Talk about that during the bonus content.
We can talk about it. I haven't thought about it in a while, but I think we could figure it out.
All right, let me write that down so we don't forget.
Talk about The Sopranos on the bonus content. And plus, we're going to reference The Godfather Companion, the new book that Alex just found.
Yeah.
That has tons of trivia, the ages of the characters.
Right. And plus, on last week's bonus content, we asked a lot. And in this episode, we're going to answer. But don't play the song now, because we're going to answer during the bonus content.
Do I have a song yet? I do have music for that. That's right.
Yeah, that you asked. So this, I guess, because it's basically an abbreviated version of that scene with Tom explaining everything. The movie in the deleted scene, it goes, is this true about the girls? And Tom says, yeah. And then he says, summon Luca Brasi. I want Luca Brasi to come here. And then he says, I don't remember what wrote it down, but he uses the phrase reason together. He's like, why can't people reason together?
Oh, he brings
I don't remember, but he specifically says reason together because I didn't know he said it in that other deleted scene, but he does say reason together later when he's talking to the five families.
Yeah. He's like, why can't we reason together?
Do you remember what reason is in Italian or what the English translation is?
Risordanto or something like that.
To rejoin.
Oh,
that's what it means.
Oh, but what, you don't remember what the word is?
Okay. I don't remember it. Yeah. Regione or something.
I think it would have had added significance at this time because LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was the president from 1963 to 1968.
Okay.
He was famous he at one point had said the phrase, let us sit down and reason together.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that was kind of like
interesting.
It would have, it would have been a more familiar phrase to people in 1973.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Oh,
if he's comparing, the crime families with the government.
Yeah, with all the politicians who have all those nickels and dimes in their pockets.
Yeah, so that was how the scene ends in the deleted scene. So Luca Brasi is specifically mentioned as the killer of the horse.
Yeah.
So what else is there? Is there something else in the book?
There's a little bit more in the book. It's interesting. The instruction, Don gave the instructions to Hagen. It took him a whole day. The instructions left Hagen dazed with admiration.
Wow.
There was no question in Hagen's mind that the Don had solved the problem, that Woltz would call him this morning with the news that Johnny Fontaine had the starring part in his new war movie. He was so confident that what the Don chose to do would do the trick.
So a couple of questions about that. So does Tom know the specifics of it?
Yes, I think
he knows, Luca, sneak into the house, cut the his head off.
We haven't seen that yet.
Okay, sorry. We'll save that. We'll save that.
Yeah, I think Tom had spent the whole. So this is the timeline.
Okay.
Tom gets home. The Don grills Tom about the whole experience in Hollywood. The Don thinks about it. Don gives instructions
several
to Hagen.
Days later.
Gives instructions to Hagen to carry it out. Hagen says, "Wow, this guy really knows his stuff," and Hagen then sets it all up.
Right. It's funny because as you're describing this, there's more and more time between Tom Hagen leaving Hollywood and how they convince him. You know what I mean? So if it's so, how do they know for sure that they were that Woltz would connect this with Johnny Fontaine?
Well, not to give it away, but when Hagen had visited the estate,
Because he showed the horse?
Waltz brought Hagen to the stable and introduced him to Khartoum.
So I don't know though, because I feel like Woltz would show everybody cartoon. Everyone who came over, he would. He would.
Well,
be showing
had
them
anyone
to.
else threatened him recently?
He must get a lot of threats in his line of work. No, I don't know. It's just I just think it would be funny if the thing happened and he was totally
funny.
like. So
he ends up giving someone else the part in the picture who had threatened
Frank
him.
Sinatra.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's how
his career was launched.
No, so okay, then so specifically with what you just said about Tom's admiration, why did they think this was a guaranteed slam dunk?
Well,
Like he's already lost his six, like why would this convince him as opposed to
what?
As opposed to having doing the
brain,
the gun to the contract.
Got it, like the threat to the band leader.
Or I guess because he knows that he can't be killed, but I guess they're just saying we'll destroy everything that is of value to you. Even if we can't kill you, we will destroy everything.
Absolutely. And Puzo wrote about this a little bit. I didn't want to get into this too much until the act actually happened. Maybe we should save some of that. Yeah. So to finish up, this is really kind of funny. Hagen was sure that Woltz would call him this morning with the news that Johnny Fontaine had the starring part in his new war movie. At that moment, the phone did ring.
Wow.
But who was it? Amerigo Bonacera.
Oh, he's back.
The Undertaker's voice was trembling with gratitude. So
because they've just been
he
beating
thought
the jelly.
Hagen thought it was going to be Woltz, but it was Bonacera. Interesting, Bonacera calling to thank the Don for doing him the favor, and Woltz maybe soon to call, sort of on the other end of things.
Right. Being the victim. The chain is. So do you think?
Actually, that's interesting. The comparisons too, because if you show the Don respect, and work with him,
that's a good.
You'll be on the.
Do you think when Bonacera called to thank? Did he then say, "Oh, if you're not busy later, why don't you come over for some coffee?" He had to have,
he had to,
because you would have to invite the Don over for coffee fairly soon after that.
Oh heck yeah! After he played that whole game, that back and forth.
How soon afterwards did he wait to call up?
Is there a protocol? It's like, what do you wait? 2 days? You don't want to call. You don't want to call right away.
Well, what if he had said, Don Corleone. So you're gonna do this for me, like when he said, that won't be justice. I'll take care of it. And then if he's like, so why don't you come over for some coffee? Then he can't refuse the offer. He has to leave because it's still his daughter's wedding day.
Oh, on the same day.
If he asked it, then he would
I gotta leave the wedding now.
I know, that's when Don Corleone's all mad at Bonacera. Bonacera can't get it right no matter what he does. Be my friend?
Yeah, that's the first thing you said, right? Oh. Come over for coffee? No. That's just
what's the matter with you?
What's you coming Undertaker to become stupid?
So Bonacera calls. The Undertaker's voice was trembling with gratitude. He wanted Hagen to convey to the Don his undying friendship. So he did learn something.
Oh, yeah, totally.
The Don had only to call on him. He, Amerigo Bonacera, would lay down his life for the blessed Godfather.
So he's saying all this to Tom.
Yeah.
He's not saying this.
Correct.
I think Tom's like writing all the specifics down. He's like, okay, you'll do anything.
Right.
Very grateful.
What an interesting
job.
For coffee.
That's
come
good.
for coffee, make it Sanka, he'll be there.
And then Tom crumbles it up, throws it in the garbage. Don never knows the Bonacera thing.
No, Puzo wrote.
Because Tom has his own undertaking, his own funeral parlor.
He's got a little corpse valet gig on the side.
Would you take your corpse valet gig and take your mistress?
Hagen's got his fingers in a lot of pies. Now he's Undertaker world, and he's going to become Hollywood. He's going to become a Hollywood big shot
Hollywood
soon.
mogul, yeah. He becomes such a big mogul, they couldn't get him back for Godfather 3. He was such a big mogul.
Hagen assured him that the Don would be told. You see, Alex, he's a good guy.
Well, of course he assures him that.
He doesn't make any assurances.
He's like, I'll tell him immediately. I'll tell him because the Don always wants to hear bad news immediately. He says, well, no, but it's not bad news. It's not bad news. Coffee. Hello? Mamma mia.
That would be great if it deleted scene. Tom then crumples up the paper, throws it over his shoulder into a garbage basket, and you see all these other calls, notes that have been thrown out. Everybody.
Jack Woltz saying, oh, he has the part.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He didn't tell the Godfather that Woltz succumbed.
I had a change of heart
because he treated him so badly. It's Hagen because he laid into him. No, really, it's good news, Tom. Tell him I'm giving him the pot. No, he insists on hearing bad news immediately. Woltz, no, I'm giving Johnny the pot.
I'll give him singing lessons, dancing lessons, and just to show I'm not hard-hearted. I'm going to make him a big star.
I'll let the Don know right away. He insists on hearing bad news. It's the same line.
Get the hell out of here.
One last thing, since we're on to Bonacera. Remember there was a period where I kept going back to Bonacera?
He was a popular figure in the early days.
He was just a little
Those early minutes. He was a star. What happened to that guy?
He will make he'll come back. Bonacera's in it again.
You know, there's a rule in theater. You can't introduce an Undertaker in the first one and not have someone be used by that Undertaker before the end of the movie.
That's great. Puzo continues to write, the Daily News had carried a middle page spread of...
Question, is that capital D, capital N news?
Yes.
So it's a newspaper, the Daily News. Not,
in italics.
Not in the Daily News, like in the general
Correct.
sense.
No. Okay. In the New York Daily News,
Product
those of you
placement.
not from New York... Oh, you think it's product placement?
Totally.
Paramount, just after every nickel and dime.
Like so many judges.
Yeah, do you think that they had to pay the Daily News?
Yeah, because it said the Daily News, America's paper of record. So what did it say in the Daily News? What
so
my
this is right after
numbers?
the Bonacera parts. So the Daily News had carried a middle page spread of Jerry Wagner and Kevin Moonen lying in the street. Those were the two
kids who
had
got
roughed
beaten
up.
to jelly.
Yep. The photos were
Suspended sentence.
They should have showed Bonacera's face in the picture too.
Proud father looks
Proud
on.
father. Proud father publicly thanks crime boss.
Area man watches. Area Undertaker thanks crime boss. He's like pointing at them as they're being beaten up when they take his picture.
And then the next page, it's Undertaker's daughter gets cutting edge surgery to repair a jaw.
So you're saying as you read the newspaper, the story continues, and it's like the Undertaker's daughter gets to college, marries nice Italian. Undertaker's daughter marries nice Italian boy.
Yeah. Well, then the sports section is. A $600,000 racehorse gets sick. So it can't run.
That'd be great to put together a newspaper made up entirely of things that happen in The Godfather.
That'll be a bonus content.
Okay, totally.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Puzo writes, the photos of these two kids were expertly gruesome. Mm-hmm. They seem to be pulps of human beings. Ugh. Miraculously, said the news, they were both still alive, though they would both be in the hospital for months and would require plastic surgery. Hagen made a note to tell...
Who's paying for that? Oh, it's John Q. Taxpayer.
Yeah, heck yeah. Hagen made a note to tell Clemenza that something should be done for Paulie Gatto. He seemed to know his job. Mm-hmm.
He's definitely good at figuring out how much money is in a silk purse from a distance.
Yeah.
He can look at any silk purse and give you a rough estimate. Within $10,000 can tell you how much is in it.
Oh, only if there are small bills, cash in that purse. He's got
and only if it's someone else's wedding.
That's Paulie's the guy for your job. I thought he was a good kid. Turned out he was the stupid jerk. Speaking of which, it's probably right now.
What?
We should do the cannoli countdown.
Countdown. Guns and cannoli. Countdown. Won't be seeing Paulie no more.
Paulie betrayed me, he got a cold and then didn't show up to work. I thought Paulie was a good kid, but it turned out he was the stupid jerk.
I'm talking about a countdown to guns and cannoli. Countdown. You won't be seeing Paulie no more.
You gotta leave the gun to send a clear message, or else you might lose your life. And whatever you do, take that cannoli. Don't upset Clemenza's wife. We're working on a countdown
cannoli. You won't be seeing Paulie no more.
How many minutes left? How many minutes left? We're doing the countdown. How many minutes left? How many minutes left, consigliere? How many minutes left?
So what is it? 25 minutes left?
Is that what you're guessing?
I'm going to say 25 minutes left.
25 minutes left. 25 minutes left.
It could be. You got to help me do the math, Alex. It's
minutes left.
minute 59 it happens.
59, okay.
And this is minute 30. This is minuto 34.
Uh-huh.
So that's, you're right, 25
minutes.
You
It's the
got
first time I got it.
You got it right. Oh, we're only going to get to do this 25 more times. I'm going to come up with the Zaza countdown.
Or maybe afterwards we can say how many episodes it's been since the cannoli.
How many minutes since the cannoli?
What would it be?
How many minutes passed?
How many minutes passed?
No, but what would the lyrics
that's
change
true.
to?
Well, you're the musical director. I'll
Okay,
leave
I'll
that
work
to
on
you.
that. Yeah, I'm the music. I'm not the lyrics, as you can tell.
You don't have the head
Cannoli
for big
countdown.
lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that might be all I have. I think I read the part already about Woltz in bed. Mm-hmm. Here's a little bit more from the book. On this Thursday morning, for some reason, Woltz awoke early. The light of dawn made his huge bedroom as misty as a foggy meadowland.
Meadowland.
Far down at the foot of his bed. Do you want to do the music while I'm reading this?
Mamma mia!
Far down.
Wait.
Where is it? Far down at the foot of his bed was a familiar shape. And Woltz struggled up on his elbows to get a clearer look. It had the shape of a to be continued.
Wow.
To be continued.
How many stars do you give this minute?
I give this. Oh boy, it's tough because it's a lead-up minute,
Yeah.
and it's. I'm going to pre-rate the next minute 5. The only reason I'm saying that is because the previous
Brando's in it.
Marlon Brando's the previous minute was 5. The next minute's 5. Does that bump up this middle minute? Does it bump it up?
What are you giving it?
Yeah. I'm gonna give.
I ain't no minute raider.
It's a minute of build up, zoom in, waltz. I mean, if we had 3 more seconds, this would be a 5-star minute. I'm gonna give it 4.
You mean if it had the reveal?
Yeah, the reveal. I'm gonna give it 3. It's really a kind of a 4 because you can't separate it from the 2 other 5s. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Well, as we learned last week, I do not have the patience to sit through movies anymore, and I would probably fast forward through this minute.
okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and give it 1 star.
1 star?
1
Okay.
star.
I get it. I totally get it. I'm giving a little bit of context, but
Yeah.
that's my rating of 4 is with the context.
I always look at it as if I was watching this, if I'd never seen this movie before and just watched this 1 minute, what would I think of it? That's totally how I rate movies.
It would be incredible then. It would be an incredible minute.
Why?
Because it
would be like
ends with this crazy cliffhanger.
I know, but like it got me invested with this character sleeping, and it doesn't resolve anything.
Who's this guy? You're just watching this 1 minute. Who's this old guy?
What's going on? Whose house is this? Is that guy in this house?
Is he a band leader? Why is the band leader bleeding?
Oh, you know what? I bet some
And what-
Goombas came and beat him up. That must have been what
He's internally bleeding from the rough up.
I wonder if some Goombas came and did some rough stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And why is everyone singing Mama, Mama Mia? He doesn't look Italian.
All right, so let's wrap this one up.
Let's wrap it up.
Don't forget, we have a new Godfather shirt showing. For some reason, there's a horse with its head cut off. I don't know why I went with such a grisly image. It's
Yeah. I mean, Khartoum's in great shape. We
Yeah,
just saw him in the
totally.
stable.
who is
Khartoum.
the ghost of Jack Woltz? Wait, is that the ghost of Jack Woltz or the ghost of Khartoum showing up? It's like the
ghost.
Anyway, we shouldn't say
No.
ghost of Khartoum. Well,
That's
by,
true.
by now he'd be dead because the horse would be 100 years old. So.
So I'm going to flash forward, flashing back. It's
Yeah, I'm
the
getting
ghost of the actor who's on stage performing for a young Don Corleone and his friend. Cartoon, Mia.
That would be my cartoon.
Yeah, then my cartoon. My cartoon.
Oh, so when we do our musical, it'll have to end with that.
Yeah.
Well,
We have
anyway,
to.
we'll talk about that after we see the reveal.
Because it would be
So-
great to have some actual real Godfather music in the
Well, then we have to
musical.
pay for that, though. And you know, Paramount.
yeah.
If just using that logo alone is
true.
going to cost us $600,000.
Yeah.
I bet a Russian czar never paid that much for logo usage.
Trademarks.
All right, so
Yeah, ain't no trademark attorney.
yeah, so if you go to our website, godfatherminute.com, you can find the link for the shirt there. Or you can go to TeePublic and search Godfather Minute. Either way, it'll come up.
And
So,
definitely check out that shirt. It is fantastic.
yeah. Okay, so this is the end of the regular show. We're going to do the bonus content, talk about The Sopranos, and talk about the Godfather newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
So let's wrap up this episode, and in 29 minutes,
We're going to leave
take
the gun and leave the cannoli.